goes to no other than the greatest, latest Doug song. I want to give a quick bio. I think knowing Doug probably allows me to just kind of talk. But Doug Song is the co-founder of the Song Foundation, formerly the co-founder of Dual Security, Michigan's first tech venture-backed unicorn. Come on, get your round of applause.
Yeah.
As a founder and funder, Doug is a champion of growing community wealth, economic and social and cultural and environmental issues. What's most important, he's really looking at the lens of inclusivity for all. These are just words, but he really lives it. I was going to give a quick minute just to share my personal experience with Doug. I first met Doug, I believe probably 2018 or so, not too far from here in his office. I don't remember, but I was working at Endeavor, and we're like kind of bringing all of our founders to meet you and give advice on culture and how you build Duo. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you then. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna learn from this amazing company, cool. I did not know that I was about to go in and hear about the Wu-Tang Clan, which speaks volumes into the counterculture and the way you kind of maneuver and express your art within the technology, which is something I learned, right? The reason why, things like I feel comfortable up here and wearing my dreads or having beer, like things that oftentimes in our culture you're afraid to express. Being a skateboarder yourself, that counterculture, subversive culture is culture, and that is also what creates organization, not just a tech. So combining that. Two lessons I learned from you. One, if you want to make a mom and pop shop, or a mom and pop pizza shop, or Domino's, you got 24 hours a day. Why don't you just do Domino's? So you really encouraged me. I remember that conversation. I was like, should I just make this kind of a chill thing? You're like, no, man, go big, go home. And those words stick with me forever to this day. The other thing that you mentioned to me is around radical empathy. It's something I carry with myself all the time. Make sure to meet people where you are, look them in the eyes, really understand where they're coming from. Conflict creates creativity. All these words that you sit down and share with me. And the last thing I'll say, which I forgot to say before that, is that you're like the godfather of Black Tech Saturdays. You don't know that. Black Tech Saturdays, if people don't know that, is founder Johnny Turnledge. But I met Johnny through Michigan Founders Fund. Shout out to Tristan. How you doing over there? See you. Michigan Founders Fund. We were best friends. We started meeting and having 5 people, Black folks, coding at DIA, in the coffee shop, just like chopping it up and learning from each other in the ecosystem, how we navigate it. But through that ecosystem and through that work and the culture that you expressed to Michigan Founders Fund and what we carry with us, Johnny and I, out came Black Tech Saturdays, which everyone should go on the last Saturday of Black History Month, the 24th Saturday in Detroit. To find more. But one thing that I want to give you kudos to is the way you carry yourself, the culture, give us confidence to be who we are and build the businesses that we know that are important. So without that, please give a shout out to Darren.
Thank you, Darren, so much. And thank you, NEF, for this really kind award. It means a lot. Startup community, I got a lot of other pieces of lucite and awards, but anything with community in it is a really important and special thing. Because again, it's, as I say, your title may make you a CEO or a manager, but your people actually really make you a leader. And I want to share an appreciation for all of you as well. Thank you all for being champions of this community. Right? You don't have to be here. You don't have to show up to this stuff. You don't have to help each other. But this is why this works. Right? This is why we were successful here as a company as well. Because again, success, as many fathers say, we were rooted in community, right? In a way that I'll share a little bit of story myself personally. Maybe talking on the why and the how. We built a company called Duo Security. I'm a transplant from Maryland, from Baltimore. Came here for school, U of M, go blue. Actually, it's funny. I was reflecting on how Duo also had green and white as our corporate colors. Equal opportunity, I guess. So we built this company here, rooted from our kind of history, right? So I came here. I got caught hacking when I was a freshman. All that kind of came out of an earlier history in my family, where my imprint on entrepreneurship was my father. right? He had a liquor store in West Baltimore. It was a pretty tough kind of business. Ultimately we moved it over to JustAir, Maryland, about a half mile from the state penitentiary, which is even worse. Anyway, I lost him when I was 18. He was carjacked, stabbed 11 times, all this. And having had that experience sort of, in computer security, but also in working my father's store since I was 8. Sort of seeing the kind of, mass of humanity and, sort of what that looks like in a community. I was very proud to be part of a business where there was an impact. I saw my father hire returned citizens, right, from the Maryland House Corrections just on the street. I saw him hire, the entire Sanders family, basically, like the boys who lived in the motel next door. And I realized quickly that, with community comes purpose. It's more than just sort of making money, what have you. There's this real opportunity to do something really meaningful and special when you bring the community sort of into your role and what you do. And so anyway, when I came here, it turned out I was able to turn, a bit of adversity into an opportunity, but it was really because someone took a chance on me. I don't know, Paul Anderson, he was a U of M administrator who I was hacking, and he basically took pity on me. Or he actually had a good idea to put me in service, right, and help me help university stay out of trouble, right, from people like me. And so I worked probation for 4 years, university as security administrator, and parlayed it into business, first as a consultancy, then building product. But long story short, that led to a career in security and entrepreneurship. Not that I ever was really looking for that. So I was sort of an accidental entrepreneur, and I think many of us are, right? We end up finding problems that we have to go after, something that compels us, right, into going after these problems. And we learn and grow a lot along the way, right? Like, no one is a born CEO, and the only ones I've ever met that claim they are terrible people. Really, like I knew a fellow who said he knew when he was 8 he was going to be a CEO and a public company CEO at that because those were the best CEOs. I'm like, you're a psychopath. Nobody really thinks like that, right? You develop and you grow sort of into these opportunities through your own personal journey of leadership, which again is helped by folks like yourselves along the way and each other. And so, just a couple words on sort of why I'm doing this now after sort of career entrepreneurship, and I think I'm done. Like we sold that first company for like $2.5 million, we sold the second one for $250 million, Harbor Networks, and we sold Duo for $2.5 billion. So I don't think I got a $25 million company in me. But when you win, you can't keep it to yourself. And so, we did start the foundation really to go and try to address the problems that exist today. But there's something that probably all founders and CEOs know is that revenue tends to solve almost all problems, right? Or at least gives you an opportunity to. And in our communities, right, we have this issue, right? It's a big, broader issue. I think Michigan is now 39th in the country in terms of personal income, which is really hard for us to grapple with. When back in 1949, whatever, it was all Michigan and all Ohio cities that were the top cities in this country live in, based on average earnings per resident. As recently as 1980, half the top 10 MSAs in this country, right, to live in by average earnings per resident were Michigan as well. But we sort of lost the script somehow, right, as the world changed and, knowledge economy, right, really took off. IT, technology, healthcare, finance, all this, the rise of all the coastal cities and those economies. And it's really, really critical that I think at this point we figure out how technology can be the great equalizer, right, for our communities and for our country. It's the core thesis actually of sort of Bidenomics, right? So I have a friend here, Neil Kane, who's on this Department of Commerce committee with me, but we were appointed by Secretary Armando for the National Advisory Council on Innovation Entrepreneurship. We've been helping to shape and steward some of the recommendations around the $280 billion, right, the Chips and Science Act. Most recently, we just voted on and approved and published a kind of 10-point platform for national entrepreneurship driving economic equity through this activity. And at this point, this is purpose that I've sort of found, right, in community post our exit. I believe that we have a unique opportunity at this moment in this state to really drive and economic equity and shared prosperity if we can connect the dots of all these people, resources, and situations that we have here. And it requires, you know, not just what I call the nouns of economic development, right? The startups, the companies, the talent, the capital, but the verbs. Right? How do we connect those things? How do we amplify that work? How do we advocate for it? Right? We have to connect those things, and so organizations like NEF, like Michigan Founders Fund, you know, John Trista there as well, that pull together these communities in support of one another. This is actually how we do this, and I think we, you know, again, if I'm any champion right now, it's mostly because we're trying to just make sure everyone doing this work, and that the folks who are helping all these folks do this, are supported. Right? The state has been kind of doing this for a long time. There have been many, many other, but there's so many of you, and you all know who you are, and how most of you in this room, at some level, have been doing this work with it's almost thankless, right? Like who gets paid for doing this work, right? I mean, some of you do, it's marketing and so forth, but by and large, you know, this is a labor of love. We do this because we care. And, you know, we think about, you know, what it takes to develop. You know, we were the first tech unicorn or whatever. There were 5 more since us, right, since 2018. 5 more, and only one of them actually, technically, is strictly automotive, right, Rivian. And Rivian left. You know, they came from Florida, they set up here, and then they're in California now, and who cares, right? There's so many other successful successful founders and opportunities here. If we can dream a little bigger, think a little broader about, again, what the future could hold here. And so thank you for the work that you do in helping all these folks achieve their dreams and protecting and supporting these folks. These are the folks, these founders are the ones who put their necks out there on the line every day with what they're doing with their businesses. It is our job to wrap around those folks, support them, protect them, and see them be successful, because without them, we don't have what's next, right? All of the tax base, all the jobs, and the better story for this community. And so if I have any advice, it's really not good advice. I'm looking for a call to action here, which is, you know, one that came from sort of how we operated, but to be kind of the necessary, right? Go out of your way to help each other be successful. You know, do the work, right, to connect each other. It's not a good event, for instance, if you've all come and you've met a bunch of people. It's a good event you've come and you've introduced a bunch of people. It's a subtle thing, but that's how we actually build the mesh of relationships that really comprise a successful community. It's how people, opportunity, need, resources all find each other. And this is work that is very much grassroots. You know, there's no institutional kind of stuff that really drives this stuff, right? This is people like you all showing up for each other in these kind of events, in these kinds of ways, every day. And so, again, I thank you for this recognition, but really what I ask is that, you know, you all continue to do this work and give first. Right? Really do the work of building culture, connection, and community, as is the Michigan Founders Fund slogan. Because those verbs, right, those verbs that connect us, that's how we win together. And that's how, again, ultimately, I think we'll see many more unicorns, hopefully in a way that is much more inclusive, much more equitable, and much more inspiring than what's come before. And the last thing I want to say is thank you to all the founders who came before me in this work. If they weren't for them, I don't think I would have thought this possible, right? You know, like when Roger Newton sold, I mean, totally outside my space, but, you know, we sold Esperion. He was the first non-tech, specifically billionaire, you know, or $1 billion exit with Esperion. But when you saw those kind of wins, that's what's special about this place, right? When anyone succeeds, we all root for them, we all cheer for them. And that's, if it weren't for those kind of visible leaders, those kind of relatable heroes, right? Showing up in our community, doing these things, and everyone here turning out, right, to help support them, I don't think I would have even tried, right? And so this is really important work you're doing. This is really important work that I think is going to drive the future of this state. And that's really the focus that I have right now. And if there's anything I can do to be helpful, do let me know. I'm investing in a bunch of funds. I'm doing a bunch of direct angel investing, although mostly, I'll just be frank with you, I'm trying to be the friends, family money for a lot of people whose friends, family don't have money. So typically a lot of underrepresented founders and founders who don't have the same access to capital that maybe, you know, others might. But but in so many other ways, whether it's through rounding up all the family offices and trying to get them to do more stuff here, or working with some of the policymakers, or trying to make sure again that our founders are all finding each other and again supporting each other. Building a culture of care for each other in this way, as a business community that is about community, is something that I think is really unique, really special. And if we succeed at this, Michigan will be the best place for founders to come and build their companies because of it. So thank you for all you do, and I'll be sticking around here, so spend more time with y'all.